A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English, your favorite UPSC platform. Welcome to a fresh week and welcome to today's Hindu news analysis session with me. This is Soumya, and together, like every day, let's begin analyzing the Hindu newspaper New Delhi edition for 22nd September 2025. That's today. And for today, you have a series of about 6 important articles that we shall be covering one after the other. And also, we shall be taking care of some prelims practice questions like we do every day. Very good morning, Saurav. Great to see you. And once again, today's articles are very diverse. As you shall realize, yesterday, Sundays, normally we do not meet for the Hindu session, but sometimes Sunday also becomes the day when we have a lot of breaking news. For example, the whole big rumor about the H-1B visa, how it created panic among Indians and other companies. So today we have a solution to that. Then once again, we are talking about how in India uranium enrichment is also becoming a matter of debate with regards to the interest of tribal people, environment. We also talk about how many countries now are ready to recognize Palestine as a separate state. So all these are the diverse issues for the day. But I would say the second article for today is quite interesting. I think you will enjoy the article because it's a very unique theme that they have picked up. So once again, very good morning, Panguru, Bulbul, Dipesh, Parmesh. Great to see all my dear aspirants. Now let's begin with the first article for the day. And we know that we always start from editorial articles. Not because editorial is the page where all important news has come, because most of the editorial articles provide us great inputs for mains answer writing. So rather than using a book for mains answer writing, rather than only depending upon monthly or weekly news analysis, it is best to make your own points. Collect as much material as you can from editorial articles, and that's what you have to feed in your GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 mains answer for UPSC. So now let's start. The first page article. This is page number 8, editorial page. Article is talking about uranium testing. How has nuclear enrichment become India's rising need? Because India, we all know by now, is almost the third largest economy in the world. India has the highest demographic dividend, young population. India's energy needs are very, very high. India needs a lot of energy. But we have also committed that by 2030, we will reduce our carbon emission by 45% as compared to 2005 level. We are a key signatory to Paris Agreement 2015. We also say that by 2070, we want to become carbon neutral. Hence, today, the Indian government is very strongly focusing upon moving away from non-renewable sources of energy like coal, petroleum, kerosene, and switching to cleaner energy like solar, hydro, nuclear. And that's where the importance of nuclear energy comes. We need to satisfy our needs when it comes to security of energy, and therefore, nuclear or uranium mining becomes one great solution. Yesterday, I had released a video that was talking about India's new geothermal policy 2025. My dear, very important once again for your mains exam. Also for the prelims 2026. If you haven't seen it, at least you can watch it for the important points of the new geothermal energy bill. That's also one area. The energy trapped inside the surface of the earth, in the core and the mantle of the earth, in the form of steam, hot fluids. That is what India also is planning to use in a big way now. And then, of course, you have the nuclear energy. So, this particular article is talking about Meghalaya, the state of Meghalaya, which is one of the key states in India that has huge tribal population. Apart from that, Meghalaya also is home to varied biodiversity. Majority of the state is under forested cover. So it's one of the most beautiful, scenic northeastern states in India. At the same time, it is also known for having such unique tribal communities who even today believe in a matriarchal system, such as the Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia tribes. But today it is the livelihood of some of these tribes, particularly the Khasi tribes, that is being threatened because of India's new uranium mining mission. So, what is the controversy all about? Let's have a look in this article. Absolutely. In Arunachal Pradesh, yes, the government is talking about geothermal energy. Thank you, Dipesh, for the comment. Very good morning, Vijay. So, for this article, let's understand the topic mapping first and looking at UPSC syllabus. We all know this comes from GS paper 2 and GS paper 3. Why GS paper 2? Because we are talking about tribal communities, especially a PVTG community from India. Very good morning, my dear. Order. PVTG are particularly vulnerable tribal groups. We all know it was identified by the Dhibar Commission in India. As of now, India has more than 700 PVTGs. Some such tribes who are extremely backward in terms of social economic parameter of growth, whose population is also declining or stagnant. Odisha has the highest number of PVTGs in India right now. But this article here also talks about a PVTG tribe. And this is none other than the tribe of Khasi in Meghalaya. Today, as the government is trying to use the resources of uranium in Meghalaya, it is the livelihood and life of these tribals that's being threatened. So it's GS paper 2, social justice. Plus it is also GS paper 3 because we are talking about non-renewable versus renewable sources of energy. We are talking about uranium. We are talking about India's zero carbon emission agenda by 2017. So therefore, yes, it is also climate mitigation under GS paper 3. So let's quickly have a look at the key controversy in the article. Article is saying that there are two places in Meghalaya. One is known as the Domia Siat, and the other is known as Vahkaji. Please remember these names. Yes, order. The Janman scheme, PM Janman. Yes, it's a tribal welfare scheme. Very well said. So we are talking about two places. Please remember Domia Siat, Vahkaji. Now, in places in the news, in the prelims, you can expect such questions. So I will once again repeat Domia Siat, Vahkaji. These are India's richest uranium deposits. These are India's richest uranium deposits. If you get a question next year, 2026 prelims, why were Domia Siat and Vahkaji in the news? You might remember today's session on 22nd September. Domia Siat and Vahkaji have been in news because these are India's richest, I repeat, richest uranium deposits. Where are they found? They are found in the Khasi hills of Meghalaya. So Khasi is the name of the hill also, where your Himalayan range in the eastern part ends its horizontal spread and then the hills start falling vertically. They are located on the border of Meghalaya, Garo Khasi Jayantia Hills, who provide an excellent blockage to the southwest monsoonal winds. No wonder it is Meghalaya, an area called Mausam Ram near Cherrapunji, that receives the highest rainfall in India. It's because of the geo-specific location of these mountains, Garo Khasi Jayantia. But at the same time, Garo Khasi Jayantias, Domia Siat and Vahkaji, which happen to be India's richest uranium deposits, are situated in Meghalaya, in the Khasi Hills. At the same time, yes, as they are situated in the western Khasi Hills, they are also today becoming a point of controversy because the government, particularly Union Environmental Ministry, it has issued an office memorandum, office memorandum. Under this office memorandum, the government wants to extract atomic and critical strategic minerals like uranium from the area of Western Khasi Hills, Domia Siat and Vahkaji without taking any consultation from the public, without consulting and without talking to the local population. The government wants to give permission to allow mining of uranium, extraction of atomic and critical substances in the area. Am I not audible to everyone? Jitu, could you please refresh your connection, my dear? Can anybody else confirm in the live chat box, please? Am I perfectly audible? Am I perfectly audible to each one here? Is that the problem with everyone? Can everybody hear my audio properly? Can you please confirm in the light box, my dear? Am I perfectly audible to everyone now? Yes or no? It's fine now? Wonderful. Audible to you? Okay. Then perhaps for anybody who's having a problem, my sincere request is, my dear, please refresh your connection once. Okay? Thank you. So now talking about Domia Siyat and Vahgaji. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Saurav. Thank you, Jitu, and thank you, Dipesh, for confirming. So kind of you. So now that Domia Siyat and Vahgaji are under consideration in the Western Khasi Hills, we know that the government is allowing enrichment and mining of uranium and other atomic and other critical strategic materials. But the government wants to just allow it without consulting with the local tribal communities. Unfortunately, it is also these local tribal communities in the Western Khasi area who are dependent on the forests of the area. If today the mining is allowed, it may have a dangerous environmental impact. If an adequate environmental impact assessment is not done, then these people may experience a loss of forest cover, deforestation, toxification of soil and underground water. These tribals are dependent on the forest reserves. They create minor forest products for their living. If the forest ecology is destroyed, what will happen to these people? That's why the new office memorandum issued by the Union Ministry of Environment is causing a controversy among the tribal population of this area. The tribals are worried, they feel that they may experience a radiation exposure. Now, that's a very valid concern. Remember when in the 1984 and 85, in Madhya Pradesh, the Bhopal gas tragedy had happened. Since then to now, it has been estimated that there are so many people in that area who still experience genetic problems, who still experience unknown kinds of cancers, because it is always chemical gas leakage or radiation from uranium processing that could lead to multiple kind of human health concerns, and not just in one generation, across generations. So therefore, it is very valid on the part of the tribals to worry that this uranium mining in the western Khasi area of Domia, Siyat and Vahgaji could create radiation exposure to innocent tribals. And these people depend on agriculture, they depend on forest, they depend on their animals. If radiation leakage starts happening and they have to evacuate, where will they go? So that's the point here, that's the confusion here. It also means that before the government can take up any such project on a large scale, the government has to obtain the consent from the local people. Local permission is important for allowing any such uranium mining. Today, the critics, the environmental supporters are also arguing that office memorandum is an executive order passed by the government. If it's an executive order, it has been issued without any parliamentary scrutiny, without any adequate environmental impact assessment examination, without any consent from the people, and without independent checks by various statutory bodies. It is purely an executive order, which means it is weakening the democracy in India. Especially, it is making a mockery of the sixth schedule under Indian Constitution. We all know that fifth and the sixth schedules of Indian Constitution deal with tribal administration. Administration of areas that are dominated by the tribes, tribal areas and schedule areas. Whereas the fifth schedule allows the government to create tribal autonomous councils, it is the sixth schedule which governs the administration of scheduled areas under four important states in India. I always remind you, AMTM states: Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Meghalaya is the state that comes under Schedule 6 of the Constitution. It should be governed by Autonomous District Council, a body that has been given enough power by the government to take and pass laws regarding forest safety, drinking water, and other internal issues of the state, which correspond with the tribal interest. Yes, absolutely. ADCs, Autonomous District Council, under 6th schedule. They are quite autonomous, independent bodies, and they include many tribal members as a part of the council, so that tribals can participate in their own governance. Today, by not consulting the tribals, by not respecting the ADC under 6th schedule, the government has made a mockery of 6th schedule itself. And that should not be allowed. Absolutely, Bulbul. We can also talk about the Great Nicobar project. There also same problem is going on. The government says we have done a proper environmental impact assessment. We have spoken to the local Shompen tribes. But the Shompenese and the Nicobari tribes, they are saying that nobody has consulted us properly. So these are certain debates when it comes to economic growth versus ecological and tribal welfare. And that's happening right now. It says then the critics are saying that tribal peoples have become bystanders. They have become the audience of their own destruction because the government has not bothered to respect consultation with them under the Autonomous District Council of the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. So, what is the response of the local people? The local tribals from the Khasi community have completely disregarded the official memorandum. They say it is linked to the ruling party. It has nothing to do with Khasi Hill Autonomous District Council, called KHADC, under 6th schedule, Khasi Hills Autonomous District Council. Okay, done, Santosh. I will make it. Copra 2019. If you're saying it, definitely I will bring it for you. Now, if this is the controversy going on today, how can we disrespect the 6th schedule? Empowerment of the tribals by allowing uranium mining in this area? After all, we know that ADCs, or Autonomous District Council, for example, under this article, the Khasi Hill Autonomous District Council have the power under 6th schedule of the Constitution to pass laws and monitor all the locally important issues that matter to the life of tribals. Today in the AMTM states, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, we cannot ignore that. And that's the controversy. Let's look how have these controversies happened in the past. As Bulbul mentioned very wisely, the Great Nicobar project is the same concern. Central government says we need the project because Indian government now wants to make a better presence in the Strait of Malacca. I have told you, my dear, Malacca, the Strait of Malacca has also been in the news. You can expect a question next year in the prelims. Remember, it falls between Indonesian and Malaysian peninsula islands, a key choke point from where majority of oil gas of China comes into Asia from West Asia. Today it is being patrolled jointly by Singapore, Malaysia. India also wants to participate in monitoring that island because for India it's a matter of Indian presence in the Indian Ocean. That's the government's viewpoint. But for the local Shompen and Nicobari tribals, it is nothing but destruction of their ecology. Similarly, talking about Jharkhand, Singhbhum district, Uranium Corporation of India has been conducting so much mining in that area that local people are saying that tribals are experiencing unknown kind of diseases, reproductive disorders, thyroid cancers, osteoporosis, toxification of drinking water, bromide, chromium, nickel, all these are seeping into the underground water used by the tribals for drinking, irrigation, and washing. What about the health of these tribals? Now, suddenly, tribal women in the Singhbhum area started experiencing a loss of their gum tooth health, reproductive disorders, infertility, easy fractures, tumors of the reproductive tract, thyroid gland enlargement. What is going on? Tribals who eat simple food, who depend on their organic food consumption, why would they experience such a dangerous level of NCD, non-communicable diseases? All because of contamination and radiation that they experience owing to uranium mining. Similarly, it is a loss of livelihood for the local tribals. They depend on their animals, dairy farming, minor forest product, agriculture. What will happen if all the land is diversified into mining? And then, of course, there are so many public hearings, litigations that keep going on. But majority number of times, the poor, semi-literate tribals do not understand these difficult words. Environmental impact assessment, green certificate being given by National Green Tribunal, Central Pollution Control Board. For tribals, these are alien words. They don't understand so much statutory language. They are not completely educated. So therefore, they become spectators of their own destruction. Their objections are constantly ignored. At the same time, tribals feel that they are being used as a resource in India. Long back, the British government had done the same thing by giving them the Damini coal area after the Santal rebellion of 1856. The tribals were misused, abused repeatedly by the British government, especially the Santal tribals, the Munda tribals. Their land was snatched for commercial plantation, timber, growing of timber and railway lines. Something similar is what the tribals are feeling today also. They feel that tribal land is nothing but a resource and the government doesn't respect the fact that tribes are an equal participant in Indian population. By snatching away their land, we are denying them equality under Article 14, Article 15, Article 16. Article 21, right to life and liberty. Article 32, the right to constitutional remedies. We are denying them the enforcement of their fundamental rights because none of their objections are being listened to. None of their objections are being considered by the government right now. So that's the pitch of the article here. And it clearly shows a lack of democratic value in India because usually, as per the global practice, first, you have to take the permission from the affected communities. You have to sign, take a signature from them into an informed consent. They have to willingly sign a form. But majority of people in the Great Nicobar Island also say that they were forced to sign the informed consent form. They were not asked for it, they were forced into it. Similarly, today the government has passed the official memorandum on allowing uranium mining in Domia, Siat and Vahkaji, West Khasi district without taking any informed consent of the people. Very good morning, Pavan. Talking about environmental fallout, of course, uranium mining is a highly polluting mining process. It is not only dangerous to the workers, it's dangerous to the whole community staying there for kilometers. Up to even 100 kilometers, the radiation can spread easily. It leads to irreversible ecological damage to animals and plants of the region. Under the 5th and the 6th schedule, India is statutory, bound to comply with tribal participation in their own administration. I have told you many times. 5th schedule for all the states which have tribal population by creating tribal autonomous council. 6th schedule only applicable in the case of 4 states AMTM, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, by creating autonomous district councils where tribals are the members and they monitor the issues that are important to their own life and livelihood across various issues like forest laws, drinking water, sanitation, housing, everything can be decided by the tribals. Today, the government is disrespecting that. Similarly, let's talk about 2013, the government's Niyamgiri judgment. Under the Niyamgiri judgment, the Supreme Court said it is the right of the village Gram Sabha to reject aluminum bauxite mining in Odisha because it's a danger to the local tribes. Today, the Khasi tribes of Meghalaya can also highlight the 2013 order of the Supreme Court, where it allowed the Gram Sabhas of Odisha to reject aluminum or bauxite mining in the region, highlighting tribal concerns. Today, Khasi tribals can also do the same thing. Highlight the 2013 Supreme Court judgment and say, we also want to reject uranium mining in Western Khasi area of Domia, Siat and Wahkaji. And then what will the government say? After all, their demand is valid. So now let's look at a question. That's a practice question based on the article. Consider the following statements regarding uranium mining in India. 1. Domia, Siat and Wahkaji of Meghalaya, Western Khasi, have some of the largest uranium deposits in India. 2. The Union Environment Ministry has recently exempted, that means allowed, uranium and other strategic minerals from being mandatory public consultation. And three, under the Niyamgiri Judgment 2013, the Supreme Court held, supported the role of Gram Sabha in deciding future of the mining projects in India. So which of these statements do you think is or are valid? It's an easy question, I suppose. Absolutely order. That's how we can remember it very, very well. While the fifth schedule is about the governor, who is a representative of the center, along with the tribal autonomous councils to manage scheduled areas. It is the sixth schedule that only corresponds with AMTM states, and that is about autonomous district council who have much more independence in their administration. A very, very valid mind map. Thank you. All right. Absolutely. Absolutely, Saurav. That's the valid answer. Absolutely, Dipesh. That's the correct answer. We can say D is the valid answer because all the statements here are absolutely correct. That's exactly what is happening right now. Absolutely, Bulbul. Yes. The union government has, without taking their permission, allowed the mining and which is causing a controversy. Paramesh, Pavan, all of you, valid response and very well done. Well answered. Now, the next article is page number 9. I think it will be a very unique article for you because usually in India we do not talk about the problem of gerontocracy. Have you heard of the word gerontocracy? Gerontocracy? Hello Vaibhav, good morning. Gerontocracy is the rule by elderly people. For you, words like theocracy, gerontocracy, all these words are a little unheard of in news. You'll usually hear them in public administration, PSIR, sociology, psychology, but usually in current affairs, we don't hear these words very often. Words like, gerontocracy or theocracy. So, what happens is that we all understand, okay, that over a period of time, population structures change. Will you agree with me? Population patterns, demography patterns change, okay? So we all know that there was a theory of demographic transition. I don't know if you have heard of this theory. You may have heard it in geography and economics. It's a part of GS paper 1 also. There is a theory that's known as theory of demographic transition. Absolutely order. Yes. The Gen Z protest. Yes. You can use that also here. Beautiful. The theory of demographic transition is a theory which says over a period of time, whole world society, every country of the world will pass through three stages of population growth. While in the first stage, every country will experience a very high birth rate and a very high death rate, like what used to happen in India before 1920. There is no medical facility, there is no vaccination, lot of people die. On an average, people don't live above 50, 55, 60. Similarly, there is also very high birth rate. The total fertility rate, number of children being born to a woman in a society is also very high. It is easily above 3, 3.5. But slowly with modern science, with medical science, with more education, what happens? The birth rate is still high, but the death rate starts falling down. That's the second stage. Why death rate falls? Because people develop vaccines. There is a better cure for so many diseases. There is more hygiene and awareness, but the birth rate is still high because people are still believing too much in religion and custom. So the fertility rate will easily be above 3. But then comes a third and the modern stage that starts in every society after industrialization and urbanization. Under the third and the final stage, a country reaches a point where not only the death rate is very less, the birth rate becomes so less that it falls below the birth rate. Already the death rate is less, but the birth rate falls even below that. That is what is happening to countries like Japan, South Korea, Australia, Canada, Russia. Today it is happening in some states of India also. That is known as a situation where the total fertility rate of the population falls below 2.0. A woman starts having less than 2 children, sometimes one, sometimes none, not at all. That's called a character of the modern society. For example, in India right now, there are many Deccan states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, UTs of Lakshadweep, Meghalaya, Andaman, New Delhi also, where the total fertility rate has fallen much below 1.7. People are not having children at all. Delayed marriage, no marriage at all, homosexual relationships, live in partnerships, extreme development of science and vaccination and hygiene, birth control. It is leading to a situation where people are having very few children. Very good. Absolutely, Order. Absolutely, Ashish. Very good, Weber. In India today, we have achieved birth rate that is around 1.9% total fertility rate. But the problem is, there is a problem here. You might say it's a very good thing. Who wants large population? It is very good. If our fertility rate has fallen to 1.9 today, but it is a problem also because globally it is expected that the perfect fertility rate is 2.1. That is why, as Order is saying, it is known as replacement level fertility, RLF, replacement level fertility. That is perfect birth rate, perfect total fertility rate, 2.1, which means every woman in a society is having exactly two children. That's perfect, which means no need for population control. Every generation will replicate itself at the perfect rate. But that's not happening today. Globally, the world has achieved 2.0, lower than fertility rate of replacement. India has fallen much below 1.9, and even in India, there is a variation. While states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh are still having around 2.6, 2.5, 2.4. It is the southern states like Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu who are experiencing 1.5, 1.6. That's very less. What is the danger of such a low fertility rate? The danger is that our population will stop having young people because less people are taking birth. Death rate is less, but birth rate is even lesser. Our population will now become old population. Old population is known as geriatric population, geriatric population. Such society which is dominated by old people is known as a grey society. Such economy that is dominated by old people is known as a silver economy. Today, many countries of the world are becoming silver economy, but India is also now in the same track. According to World Bank and United Nations, if we do not utilize the benefit of young population, by 2045, India will also become a geriatric society like Japan and South Korea and Russia and Canada, where old people will dominate. If in a society old people start dominating, what happens? It increases the dependency ratio of the population. Today, with more old people, government will have to spend more on insurance, pension, medical health. It will also lead to low demographic dividend. The young working population will start shrinking. That means less consumption, less production, lower economic growth. That's the danger that India might have in future. That's the danger countries like Japan are having right now. That's why they keep inviting people from outside. Come to our country, buy property, we will give you permanent citizenship. Come, they invite Indians and Chinese because Indian and Chinese are dominating the world when it comes to population, but only till 2045. So this article is saying the same thing. If in a society the population keeps on aging, it will lead to geriatric society. There it is a problem that even in the parliament and leadership, our ministers will become old. They will start becoming above 65 years of age. This is a paradox for India right now because until 2045, India has the advantage of demographic dividend. We still have a young population. On an average, the average age, median age of an Indian today is 28 years. In 2045, it will proceed and become 35 years. So today we are young. We can utilize this. But unfortunately, in the parliament and in the state legislatures across states, the leadership is very old. What a paradox. What an irony. A country like India, which is still young, has one of the oldest leaders of the world. Is that okay? Is it not like disallowing the opportunities to younger people to participate? Long back, long back, during the 1970s and 60s, I will ask you a question here. There was a Congress leader. There was a Congress leader in the parliament who had suggested a plan that we should force old leaders of the Congress party to retire and allow the young leaders to take leadership of that party. Can you tell me who is that leader who gave this plan? If you have studied your NCRT books, class 12th, World and India, class 12th political science notebook, textbook, then you must know the answer. Today we are talking about something similar. Why can't we allow young leaders to replace old leaders? In India, the population right now, we are still having demographic dividend because, as I said, certain states like UP and Bihar still have a fertility rate of about 3.0. So we have an opportunity of young population. But still in the parliament, we have old leaders. So in a society, if the leadership is done by elderly population, that society is known as gerontocracy. Please remember the word GS paper 2, GS paper 1, social issues, demography. Gerontocracy. Gerontocracy means rule by the old people. Theocracy means ruled by religious people. Gerontocracy means rule by old people. It's coming from a word called age plus legitimacy. So old people should rule. Yes, that's a question I'm asking you, order. That's a suspense. You have to answer me that question, my dear. Who said that? Okay. So gerontocracy is the leadership by old people in a society. Article is saying today India has become a gerontocracy. But not just India, not just India. It is many other countries who have aging population, grey society, silver economy. So therefore, in countries like US, Brazil, Israel, India, everywhere it is becoming a gerontocracy. Old people are ruling the world. They are dominating the elections. For example, America, Joe Biden, ex-prime minister, he was 82 when he left office. Mr. Trump, President Trump is 78 as he enters office. Brazil, President Lula da Silva, a great friend of India, 79. Israel, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, 75. India, Honorable Prime Minister, age 74. Turkey, President Erdogan, 72. Russia, Mr. Putin, 72. So many of these countries are experiencing what? Gerontocracy. A very interesting question that can come in GS paper 1 next year. It's about demography. That across the world, why are we witnessing a trend towards gerontocracy? Yes, because populations are aging. And in politics, we believe that the older you are, the more wisdom you have. So you can highlight that statement made by the Congress leader in 1960s who said that let the old leaders retire and let the new ones come in. If you cannot give me the answer by today, I'll give it to you tomorrow morning. But you have to at least find it out. If I force you, maybe you will read that NCRT book, and it's very important for UPSC, by the way. Grade 12, NCERT Polity, Political Science, India and Contemporary World Politics. I think that's the name. It's a orangish color cover. You have to read NCRT. So the median age of prime ministers is slowly increasing. 67 years is the youngest. Chief ministers. Average age of a chief minister has increased from 57 years in 1950 to almost 60 years in 2020. You have to find out, my dear Saurav. If you cannot by today, I will give you the answer tomorrow. Give me one day at least to create the suspense. Lok Sabha, ministers of parliament in the Lok Sabha, average age 1952, 46 years. 2014, 56 years. By 2019, it became 56 to 70 years, a jump by 40% into old population. But look at the paradox in India. See, if we talk about countries like US, Japan, Korea, we can understand. They have no choice. Already the population is grey. Average age of a person in Japan, Korea, or America will easily be about 40. So then we can understand that leaders are old. But for India, it is very difficult to understand the rule of old people. In India, gerontocracy is not justified because the average age of an Indian, as I said, is about 28. 50% Indians are under 30 years. That's a huge demographic dividend. Domination of old people. In that case, why are we seeing a phenomena where in the parliament, 40% and more people are already above 56 years age. Majority of them are above 70. So in that case, why in India, if 50% people are under 30 years of age, why do we see that young ministers of parliament who are under 30 is only 0.007%? 99% ruled by elderly people, more than 99. Why? Why do we celebrate gerontocracy so much? Does it not lead to a gap in representation of the young people and their aspirations? Young leaders can bring dynamics into politics. Young leaders can bring the aspirations of, as Order said, Generation Z, Gen Z. Why do you think the protest happened in Nepal? Because people in Nepal were frustrated of repeated changes in the government, obsolete rules. So when the government of Nepal banned social media platforms like X, YouTube, Instagram, people's blood boiled. They said, how can you deny us the right to free speech and expression? You cannot. You are outdated people. We need a young leadership. And that explains the protest by Gen Z. In India, the same sentiment might happen today or tomorrow because the demands and the energy of younger generation can definitely not match those of the previous generation. It's very good to have elderly people as leaders because they bring experience to the table. At the same time, by not allowing young people, we are raising the capacity. We are raising a doubt on the capacity of Gen Z of taking decisions. Recently, the whole debate is coming because as the ex-president, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar, he retired from politics saying that his health is not good. People said the same thing. Something same is happening about Shri Nitish Kumar also in Bihar. Many times he has been unwell in the past. And people say that creates a delay in decision making. Why don't we have a constitutionally created retirement age for our politicians? For example, the BJP believes above 75 people should retire, but that's an informal rule. That's not a constitutional rule. So today we have to understand age does mean wisdom, but it doesn't mean that at a young age people cannot acquire wisdom. When Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi took to office, he was perhaps one of the youngest prime ministers to do so. And he did take some revolutionary steps. It included negotiation with the northeastern states. Similarly, in countries such as the New Zealand, such as some countries of EU, where we are seeing young leadership, it has led to better representation of women, transgendered, and diverse backgrounds into politics. So modern governance is about innovation. Already we are saying India's rank in the Global Innovation Index is quite less. It is 38. So where is the scope for innovation? By allowing younger minds and younger energy to come to picture. We have to make it formal. That's the pitch of the article. Bulbul replies it was Motilal Nehru. Thank you so much, Bulbul, for commenting. Whether it's the right answer or not, I will keep quiet and keep the suspense on. Sometimes I really enjoy creating suspense. Sometimes it forces my students to go and investigate more, and I like that a lot. So sorry for sounding so sadistic. Yes, but I will not allow today. I will give the answer only tomorrow. Absolutely. In India also, we need that kind of a law. Absolutely. They have to formalize some retirement age. So true, so true. Absolutely. Now, whether it's about, as you're saying, Ramu, it's not just about the government, it's absolutely about the corporate sector as well. Now, across education, across many other domains, we see that generally the old people are more representative in leadership roles. And that is something we have to rethink. Absolutely. Pavan says it was Shri Jagjeevan Ram. Okay, I'm so happy about the responses, but we will only make it a formal response tomorrow. Now, the question, consider the following statements. One, the median age of Indian Prime Minister has increased since independence. Two, Morarji Desai was the youngest Prime Minister of India, assuming office at 40. Three, the average age of Lok Sabha, Minister of Parliament, has increased over time, with the 18th Lok Sabha being the oldest Lok Sabha in India. Which of these statements do you think are valid? You can post your answer, or otherwise you can think and also answer. Dipesh has already answered. So, which of the following statements do you think are valid? Was it Morarji Desai or was it Rajiv Gandhi? It's a small hint I'm giving you. Rest it's up to you. Order says Joe Biden. My dear, we are only talking about Indian leaders here. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Paramesh. Ajit is also answering. Okay. Okay, let's see. Everyone says the B is the valid answer. Absolutely. That's a valid question, Saurav. That is true. That is true because what is happening that in India we have a young population. I agree, but there is a kind of mental bias that young people are not good with politics because politics needs more experience. Well, that's the belief of gerontology that rules should be done by the elderly. But today, as we are saying, we need more innovation. We need more AI based technology. We need more rapid decision making. So, younger leadership sometimes, if not completely, at least it supports the older leadership in power. So even if not at the level of chief minister, prime minister, at least at the level of MPs and MLAs, we should allow young people to come in faster and allow some retirement age for politicians. Because as it happened with the case of Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar, sometimes health issues also determine the performance in office. So that's the concern right now. So a lot of confusion with this question. Ajit, Vaibhav, Order, Dipesh, and Saurav have gone with B, while JK and Joshua, Ramu, Vaibhav, many of my dear aspirants go with C. Ramu says it's A, Joshua says it's A, so a lot of confusion. But somewhere, I don't know, I'm happy about the confusion because I think the more debatable, the more fun it is, okay? I know I'm being a little mean today. I'm not giving answers and keeping a lot of suspense, but if I'm happy, then let me be happy in doing that. At least it will help us think more and make us more suspense. Let's proceed to the next article quickly. Yes, that's true, Dipesh. Now, yesterday, I was not there for the Hindu, but I think you all must have seen the news. One time H1B visa fee is only for the new applicants, says America. So, yesterday, it seems there was a massive controversy as US President Donald Trump, suddenly said that the H1B visa fees will be hiked. It will be hiked to about $1 lakh, and that will be paid every year. Now, that caused a lot of panic among Indians. How will we keep paying every year so much money? That's expensive. Into renewing and getting H1B visa. Companies like Amazon, Microsoft, they asked their employees to immediately travel back to America. There was panic everywhere. Stock market was getting impacted, but today it is the White House, it is the American president who has clarified that nothing to get panicky about. It is the H1B visa program that has been changed a little bit, which means American companies, tech companies in America, will be allowed to hire Indian employees. They will be allowed to hire Indian employees at a large scale. We are not stopping them from doing that. The only thing is from September 20, that was 2 days before, we will hike the H1B visa application fee to $1 lakh. He just said that. We will hike the fee of H1B visa to $1 lakh, which means companies in America who want to hire highly skilled Indian workers. We often talk about the brain drain, white collar, tele-migrants from India, highly qualified engineers, AI software developers who work in American companies. They will still be allowed to work. The fee has been hiked to $1 lakh. The problem is that it was misinterpreted. Rather, it was miscommunicated to the whole world community because companies thought that every worker every year will have to pay $1 lakh. Everybody thought that the problem is now with the new rule for every worker who's working in America. The companies will have to pay $1 lakh every year for renewing their visas, which meant no company would hire any Indian then. It would become unaffordable for companies to hire Indians if they had to pay $1 lakh per year for each worker. That was impossible. So, US Commerce Secretary, when he said that the fee will apply annually, that means every year $1 lakh for every worker. So it will lead to a lot of problem. Absolutely. That's a valid point you're making there, Bodhi. Absolutely, orders. Absolutely. Yes, we'll come back to the question, Dipesh. A little suspense we are doing. So that's the confusion. While the American president only said we are hiking the fee to $1 lakh, the whole world thought it is about $1 lakh per year for every worker that has to be given each year, every time. So why would anybody hire Indian workers? Today comes the clarification that nothing like that is going to happen. Nothing like that is going to happen. Absolutely, Joshua. Nobody can afford to pay so much money. The salaries are also not so much. So the White House is clarifying it is not every year. It is not every year. It is a one-time H1B filing fees. It will not be applicable to those who already have a visa and who are going for a renewal. It is not applicable to those who are already holding that visa. It is only for the new cycle of applications that will start from the next lottery cycle, the next visa application batch. For those who are already having H1B visa to re-enter the US, those who are already the visa holders, this rule is not applicable to them. It will only be applicable to the next cycle, the next issuing of visa H1B, and that too not every year, one time application fee. So that's the clarification that has come. Now, before the clarification, a lot of panic happened. Yes, Microsoft, JP Morgan, Amazon, they immediately told their employees to go back to America. Immediately, right then, to not even waste one more second. All the workers with H1B visa were booking the last minute flight to the US because they did not want to pay this high fee. But even the Ministry of External Affairs told America that don't do that. You are doing a massive anti-human campaign. It will lead to a breakdown of families. You are going to break the families. You are going to take away people's job. It will lead to a lot of disruption. It's an inhuman thing to do. But today America has clarified it's not like that. It's a one-time fee only, and that too for the fresh cycle. For the existing people, there is no problem. It is not an annual fee, by the way. Now, why is it important for India? We know in America, Indians are 70% of those people who are H1B visa holders. Absolutely. Absolutely, Ram. Absolutely. So Indians are 70% of H1B visa holders. Such a high increase in fee will definitely impact IT sector of India, India's foreign remittances coming from workers earning abroad. It also means Indians were worried because today, once again, Mr. Trump has not been very kind to us, by the way. There is a small news in the Hindu which also said that once again, yesterday, President Trump said that I was the one who stopped India Pakistan from going into a nuclear war. Repeatedly, India has said, don't say that. We did not stop the war because you said. We stopped it because we concluded Operation Sindoor and it was our decision to call for a ceasefire. Not because of America, but he doesn't agree. He once again said, I stopped India-Pakistan war. Once again, there is no clarity on tariffs. India thought maybe this H1B issue is also an issue of protectionism and harming India's economic interest. But today, there are many critics who are saying if President Trump continues like this, indiscriminate tariff, indiscriminate hike on the visa fee, it will impact America. If it has in past created brain drain, it could cause brain gain also. Today, as we are moving towards becoming Atmanirbhar, if all Indian employees, many of them who are highly skilled, if they choose to come back to India or start working for foreign markets, it is America who will also experience a big loss, by the way. So what's the question? Consider the following statements regarding recent challenges to the US H1B visa policy. One, the new $1 lakh fee will apply annually every year to all H1B visa holders, including renewal and existing workers. Two, the White House later clarified that the $1 lakh fee is only a one-time charge and that will be applicable only to the fresh H1B applications from the upcoming cycle. Three, Indian professionals constitute the largest group of H1B visa holders in the America. Absolutely, Ramu and Dipesh. B will be the valid answer. Only 2 and 3 are valid. 1 is completely invalid. Gerontocracy. Okay. Joshua, absolutely B, my dear. Very well answered. Absolutely easy question. Now, quickly, the next article is from Text and Context. It's a slightly technical article. Initially, I thought I will skip it and bring it for the current affairs, but no, I think it's a newspaper article. So let's cover the key points here. Talking about the topic mapping, it is GS Paper 3, Science and Technology. Well answered, Ajit. Very good, Ramu. You have to use the elimination method. That's the safest and the smartest way of answering prelims questions. It saves you time. GS Paper 3, Science and Technology. We are talking about India's expanding capacity in supercomputers. You might have heard about the words earlier called Ihravat, Param. You might have heard about these words. So yes, we are talking about what is the importance of supercomputers, quantum computing, and will it make India even a more strong economy by enabling us to progress by the use of supercomputer technology. That's the quick article. Let's do the review. Very well answered, Paramesh. Article says, what's a supercomputer? So a supercomputer is a kind of computing system that solves extremely large, complicated problems that normal computers cannot handle. Besides, it also has an inbuilt cooling system. There are coolants so that with overuse also, with so much massive amount of data being computed, there is no overheating of the system, hence no damage to the system. Then they are also used big time in AI model, large language models training, in machine learning. They are used for weather forecasting, nuclear simulations, and space research. So they have wide applications across various industries. Now, performance. The performance of the supercomputers is measured in flops, FLOPS, floating point operations per second. Floating points, operation per second. FLOPS, flops. For example, today the supercomputers of the modern society are having exaflop, that is extreme high power of computing speed. Similarly, how do these supercomputers work? Well, they work by, rather than using one processor, they use thousands, millions of processors to work together simultaneously. And as I said, they have an inbuilt cooling methodology so that despite such a high level of processing, overheating doesn't happen. They are used to make predictions also on the basis of earlier machine learning models. Now, supercomputers in India began in the 1980s when it was America, other Western countries who denied India access to advanced computers. Like today, also, under President Trump's administration, America is denying to allow other countries access to AI chip fabrication. That's a key area of fight today. Artificial intelligence chip fabrication. Today, America under President Trump is not allowing countries to borrow this technology. Under Joe Biden's policy, it was allowed. He was planning to outsource the technology in a big way. But today, especially to countries like Russia, China, even India, America is very hesitant to share the AI chip fabrication technique, semiconductor technology. Similarly, Western countries were denying India access to supercomputers in the 1980s also. That led to India's own indigenous development of CDAC, that is Center for Development of Advanced Computing. It was created by the Indian government in 1988 to make India's own supercomputer. Absolutely order. That's well said. Now, from 1991, we developed the Param series of computers. Now, remember, Param was India's first indigenous, locally made supercomputer. In 2015, the government announced one more scheme. Now, it's very interesting to note that 2015 is one year in which majority of schemes in India have come. 2015 was when JNNURM expired. And then you had so many. PMJAY, Smart City Mission, Skill India Mission, Startup India Mission. Similarly, National Supercomputing Mission. Majority of missions are actually they developed in 2015 only. It's an interesting observation there. So National Supercomputing Mission of 2015 aimed at creating 70 plus facilities for high power processing in India. shifting from speed of teraflops to petaflops, very high speed processing and computing. It was a joint project of the Ministry of Information Technology and the Department of Science and Technology. Purpose was to create India's own hardware and software. For example, the Rudra server, the AUM nodes, ultimately to fasten the speed of supercomputers in times to come. So today, what is our major achievement? Yes, major supercomputers created by India from the same institute. Which institute? That was created in 1988, Center for Development of Advanced Computing, and 2015, National Supercomputing Mission. India has created Airavat PSAI, created by the same center at Pune, fastest computer, comes among global top 100 fastest computers, Airavat. Two, the Param series of computer. They are being used, tested, and modified across Indian Institute of Technology, Indian Institute of Science laboratories. Then comes Pratyush, Indian Institute of Technology. It is used majorly for weather forecasting, weather predictions. Then comes Mihir. Remember these names, please. You have to write them as examples in GS paper 3. India's expansion in supercomputing technology. Please remember the CDAC created in 1988 in, as a Center for Advanced Computing. Do remember the Mission for Supercomputing, National Mission 2015. What are the examples? Airavat, Param series, Pratyush, Mihir. Mihir also helps in predicting the pattern of monsoon rainfall. Last year, as we experienced a less rainfall, a poor southwest monsoon rainfall, it was through applications like Mihir that the government was able to predict which areas will experience what kind of dry spells in the monsoon season. Similarly, flooding, over monsoon, all these can be predicted beautifully by using such technologies. In India, yes, it is important because our climate hugely determines Indian agriculture even now. Many tribal communities are dependent completely on monsoons, climate for their harvesting and sowing. So, monsoon prediction is important for flood control, protecting various states like Sikkim, Himachal, Uttarakhand, Jammu Kashmir from flash floods. Then it is also important for marine modeling. It is important for studying Himalayas, who are extremely prone to earthquakes and tectonic shifts. AI and big data computation, drug discovery, drug research, molecular dynamics, and even in defense. All supercomputers have a usage. On that note, let's also understand today we are moving towards quantum computing. Quantum computing could be the next real revolution in India because that could mean a complete change in the way we are solving various problems. So, from supercomputers, as Order said, now time has come to shift into quantum computing. So, India is already creating many models and researching into it. For example, like in Germany, they have created exascale computing called Jupyter application. India is trying the same. Then we have another kind of smart computing called neuromorphic computing, which means just like artificial intelligence works by simulating human mind, here also neuromorphic computing will be inspired by the way neural network in human brain is working. Okay, it will lead to better memory retention, better decision making, better modeling for prediction for future. So all these are based on renewable power. And supercomputers will also not only be utilizing solar nuclear energy, but also in the future they can lead to predictions across agriculture, defense, medicine. And that's very important to a country like India, who is now becoming Viksit by 2047. So what's the question? With reference to supercomputing in India, look at the following statements. One, Param 8000 was developed in 1991 as India's first indigenous supercomputer. Two, the National Supercomputing Mission NSM is a joint initiative of Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Electronics and IT. 3. Airavat PSAI, India's current fastest supercomputer, is mainly used for nuclear simulation and it's located in Kalpakka. Third statement, slightly tricky, first two easy. Which of these do you think is or are valid? In the meantime, before wasting much of your time, let me proceed with the last article. UK, Australia and Canada have done a revolutionary task. GS Paper 2, Current Affairs of International Importance. UK, US, Canada have agreed to recognize Palestine as a separate country. They will pass a formal resolution in the United Nations General Assembly in New York now. Why? Because after decades of Israelis attack on the West Asian Palestine Gaza Strip area, after decades of countries requesting Israel to stop the genocide, and still attack on Iran happened. Attack on Doha, Qatar happened. And Israel continues to say that I will keep attacking all the countries where I feel Hamas is operating. The trigger that was received by Israel on August 7, 2023, as a peaceful musical party in Israel was attacked by the Hamas militants, has now resulted in the fact that Israel feels resentful. It says, I will continue my attacks. And no amount of global persuasion is able to change that. Even as India took an independent stand and criticized openly Israelis' attack on Doha. But still, Israel is persistent. And therefore, what has happened? Today, Britain, Australia, Canada have recognized formally the Palestinian state. It's a major change in Western policy, major change. Because remember, Israel is backed by America, US. US and Europe are great friends. They are partners in the NATO. Despite that, countries like Britain, Canada, Australia, openly recognizing Palestine is a major shift in Western geopolitics. Similarly, Portugal also says, I am planning to recognize the statehood of Palestine. Now, this is for the first time. Countries from the G7, the group of seven, the most advanced countries of the world, have formally recognized Palestine, including Britain and Canada. Why? International pressure on Gaza war is already happening. It's increasing day by day. Israel has refused to recognize the two-state solution. In the past also, Israel had refused the Abraham Accords. In the past also, Israel refused to listen to the United Nations when it said stop the genocide. And today what is happening? Today, countries are frustrated with Israelis constant attacking, and United Kingdom Prime Minister says we will recognize peace, Palestine, and we support the two-state solution, where both states, Palestine and Israel, can share the West Asian territory and live peacefully side by side. We don't want violence. Similarly, Canadian new Prime Minister Mark Carney, who has recently also improved his relationship with India by inviting Indian Prime Minister to the G7 summit, which was recently done. So it also says, I am agreeing. Canada agrees for a more peaceful future for Israel and Palestine. Imagine a country like Britain, a part of G7 today that is openly recognizing Palestine, was also a country which had played a key role in creating Israel long back in 1917. Earlier, it was supportive of Israel. In 1917, under the Balfour Declaration, it was Britain who played a major role in getting a separate area for Israeli country. Today, the same Britain is ready to recognize Palestine. It shows how frustrated they are, as Israel is refusing to listen. And what is the reaction coming from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel? He says, I don't care really. The presence of Hamas and Palestine is a danger to the whole world, and therefore we will not change. So, this is a complete change in Western policy. And how will it in general impact the peace in West Asia? Now, all countries want West Asia to be stable because it definitely impacts the oil price. For example, when America had attacked Iran's nuclear facility, Iran was threatening to close the Strait of Hormuz. That would have caused a danger to the oil supply into entire Asian region, entire Asian hemisphere, let alone the shock that comes from undersea cables that were recently cut by Houthi rebels. Destability in West Asia is a danger to the diaspora that lives there. So, therefore, today we are once again back to the same place where countries are ready to recognize Palestine, but Israel still believes no way in any peace talk. So, what is the future? We don't know. And now, the last piece of quick observation as we leave. who was then the wing commander of Indian force, and he had shot Pakistani F-16 in 2019 before he was captured on the border. At that time also he was using MiG-21. So MiG-21 has made Indian Air Force empowered and proud many times, but today time has come for it to retire. So after 26 years of service to the Indian Air Force, India's first supersonic fighter, MiG-21, is now retiring. It has played major role for India, but today it is retiring and now it will be replaced by Tejas LCA Mk1A. Okay, so as I said, in 1963, MiG-21 was India's first supersonic fighter. India has operated 700 plus variants of MiG-21 that were created domestically by the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. It was the backbone for Indian Air Force across Indo-Pak War 1965, Indo-Pak War 1971, Kargil conflict against Pakistan 1919, the Balakot air strikes 2019, where Captain Shri Abhinandan did so much sacrifice for India by shooting Pakistan's fighter plane. So all that was done by the usage of MiG-21. But today, as the time for retirement has come, we are slowly, steadily moving towards the Tejas LAC, the light combat aircrafts. And remember that MiG-21 was also used in Operation Sindoor. So that's just a news in the passing. And now is the time we basically end the news. Now, one last reference. Please remember, for places in news, the Bagram Air Base. I will make a separate video on that, but I want everyone here to remember Bagram Air Base. Important place in the news, prelims 2026. Bagram Air Base. What is Bagram Air Base? It's the largest air base in Afghanistan, located near the capital Kabul. Please do not forget that. Largest America's military base in Afghanistan, north of the capital Kabul. It was used against Taliban by America. In 2021, as American troops withdrew and Taliban started its rule back in Afghanistan, this air base was heavily in the news, the Bagram Air Base. But today, President Trump has once again expressed the desire to regain the control of Bagram Air Base, while the Taliban has rejected. Taliban says no. Taliban needs its own territorial sovereignty and independence, so we will not give you the air base. But President Trump wants to have a control back again on the air base. So that's the conflict that's going on. Okay, and Taliban says we won't give 1 inch also. But President Trump wants that. Why does President Trump want it? Absolutely, as you say, order. Because geostrategically it's important. It is near to China, Central Asia, Pakistan. So US wants to maintain an impact in the area by holding on to the airbase to control China's expanding presence in the region. And today, the Taliban is not ready to agree. So that's it for today's news coverage. And you can just raise an issue about this, that even after signing up for it, if you are not getting access to any PDFs for any videos that we are having, then my dear, I absolutely understand your concern. And you can please raise a concern on any video in the comment box so that the back-end team can come and they can help you with it. Okay, from my side, everything I have uploaded. Okay, but I'll remind them for sure. So thank you so much for being with me. That's a wonderful participation from all of you. Really enjoyed the session. Look forward to another fruitful session with you tomorrow. If there's any particular news, as Saurav has already mentioned, I'll bring the video. If any other student wants any particular issue, any particular news that you enjoy, do let me know. I will create a video and bring it back to you. Thank you very much. I understand your concern, Saurav. But let's raise a complaint to the back-end team, because they are the ones who are responsible for taking care of that. Okay, I'll keep raising the concern until it is done. Definitely. Thank you so much, my dear, all of you. Bye, Param. Bye, Ramu. Bye, Dipesh. Bye, Saurav. Bye, Order. See all of you. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you. See you, dear. Yes, second MCQ. Answer is A here. We'll discuss tomorrow. I won't take more of your time.